Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is show you guys basically the loft that's on all three of these different clubs that you guys have today. So like I said before, we have an 8-iron, we have a pitching wedge, and we have a sand wedge. And we're going to use these clubs for very different types of shots. So the first thing I want to show you here is just the different lofts on these clubs. First I'm going to stand on the end of the 8-iron so you can see the loft that's on that club. So if I do this, you can see that that club will produce a shot that's coming out relatively low and will hopefully have a lot of roll on it. So we're going to use the 8-iron for shots that are that require less carry and more roll. If I compare that 8-iron to the pitching wedge, just a second here, you'll see a much different loft on that pitching wedge. So what we're going to use that pitching wedge for are shots that are about 50-50. So shots that are in the air about half of the time and on the ground about half of the time. And if I move over to the sand wedge, you'll notice an even more dramatic effect here, that the sand wedge has an even greater loft on it than the pitching wedge. And we're going to use this for shots that are required to be in the air longer than they're on the ground. So if I just give you a little visual demonstration here, further than that, I just want to show you, basically I like to think of all of these type of short game shots in terms of percentages. And these percentages are the percentage of carry versus the percentage of roll. So basically these percentages are from where the ball is lying, and it could be anywhere around the green, anytime we're making a chipping or pitching motion, to reach the green. So that's distance 1. We'll use distance 1 to determine the amount of carry that we need. Distance 2 is from the edge of the green to reach the target. And we'll use these different percentages in our calculation and in our game plan to select the correct club. I also like to think of all of these short game shots in terms of, if we had ball in hand, how would we get that ball closest to the hole? So in this situation right now, we're about 6 or 7 yards off the edge of the green. We have about 30 to 40% of carry versus about 60 to 70% of roll. So if I just, keeping in mind now, I always want to land the golf ball on the green. It gives us the most predictable bounce, and it will provide the truest result that we're looking for. So if I have ball in hand and I'm in this situation, I would get this ball closest to the hole, probably by letting that ball land on the front part of the green and then rolling up there the rest of the way to the target. That's not to say that a more lofted shot can't work, but it just takes more effort. So that first shot, or that first toss that I gave you, was more similar to a pitching wedge or an 8-iron type shot because it was on the ground longer than it was in the air. But like I said, that's not to say that a sand wedge or a more lofted club can't work. I can obviously get this ball just as close to the hole by going high, but it requires more effort and a greater swing, which can create more room for error. Got it?